Hi, I'm John and welcome to the Jigsaw Puzzler. Today's puzzle comes in this unusually shaped box from Bepuzzled. It's a 1,000 piece puzzle in the Buried Blueprints series, and the title of this puzzle is The Lost City of Atlantis. It's one of a number of puzzles in their Buried Blueprints series, including Noah's Ark, King Solomon's Mines, Legends of King Arthur, an Egyptian Chronicle, and Man Against Woman in the other titles in the series. The boxes are not quite triangular, but they do remind me of the Heyer triangular puzzles, but they're quite different from those in many other regards. This is a second-hand puzzle, so the image on the box is a little bit faded from overexposure to UV light, but otherwise it's in pretty good condition. The puzzle itself is in pretty good condition as a second-hand puzzle. It is missing missing two pieces, and there is one piece here which is quite seriously delaminated. I've got the bottom of it and the image side, so I could probably glue that back together. And there is another piece in the puzzle somewhere that has delaminated, and I've got three of the layers of the underside of it, but I'm actually not sure which piece it is, and it's not the missing piece from the center of the puzzle. I've had this puzzle for many years, and it's been in storage so long that I practically forgot that I actually owned it. As I was doing it, I was thinking to myself, I'm sure I've done this puzzle before, and then it dawned on me that, of course, it was in our storage unit, and some family members had retrieved it along with a few other things, and just presented it to me, and it turns out it's mine all along. So I've had it for a long time, so it's quite, it's been around a bit, and it is very second-hand. However, it's still a really lovely puzzle to do. In terms of the puzzle quality, the pieces are reasonably thick, sort of average thickness pieces, and it has a pretty tight fit. So it holds together really nicely. It does have a slight gloss finish with the lights, but not nearly as glossy as many of the other ones that I've done, including some more recently. So not too hard to see what's going on here with the pieces. There are only two piece shapes, so the standard puzzle piece shape in a horizontal and a vertical form. So the horizontal and vertical form of the standard puzzle pieces, except, of course, the edges, but also right here in the middle of the puzzle, so to one side of the puzzle, there are two pieces which are non-standard shapes. Now, where are they? It took me a while to find them in the box. Oh, there we go. So there are just two pieces that are a different shape, which I find quite unusual. I think it's probably part of the mystery of this puzzle. We have one of each of those shapes, and that's it. That's all of that shape there are in the puzzle, and they go together and in that slot there. So I think that's a little bit unusual for this puzzle. Okay, so the puzzle image. What we have here is a very busy image. It's a map. It purports to be a map of the legendary land of Atlantis. So it is a fantasy out of somebody's imagination, the representation of it. It's cartoon style, it's really detailed drawings. And the artist, who is Albert Lorenz, he is an architectural draftsman who has worked with some very well-known architects like Philip Johnston and Marcel Breuer. And he has created this beautiful image as well as the other images in the series. It's around the edge, it is papyrus, and then there is a border of different exotic carvings of snakes and skulls and heads and shells and just circular shapes and squares and rectangles, all sorts of sort of tribal looking shapes, a couple of dragons down the bottom, and there's a title here that says Atlantis, Center of the Ancient World. And then in the middle it has the map of Atlantis. which is taken from a perspective as if it is on a globe. So here we are facing a portion of the globe and seeing the curvature of the Earth up towards the top of the northern hemisphere, all the way down here to the south. There are map grid lines on the puzzle, both latitude and longitude, and in fact there's 20 degrees south, 0 degrees, so the equator, and 20 degrees north, 40 degrees, 80 degrees, all sorts of degrees of latitude and longitude around the edge, just like you would find in an atlas. The difference is, though, that this is entirely a fictional or fictionalized landscapes. We have Europe over here, we have Africa here. Part of the top of Africa looks like, the bulge of West Africa, the Horn of Africa, and down here towards the south. But then it joins onto this very fictional land, which joins onto the bottom of South Africa, called Africus. We have the land of the Mayas, which is a sort of South America shape, and then Indias, which is the sort of North America shape. We also have two completely fictional, or several completely fictional elements here. Atlantis itself, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. We have a place called Logica, which is in the Pacific Ocean towards North America. And we have some exaggerated islands in the southern part of the Pacific. And we have this huge land here just called the Volcano, which I'm assuming is somewhere in Siberia, given that it kind of connects with the northern part of North America here. But it resembles, some of the shapes resemble lands that are real, but other shapes are completely fictionalized and mythical. On it, there are all sorts of details, a great amount of details. Some of the details here refer to myths and legends from around the world that are genuine myths and legends. For example, Valhalla, Camelot, Stonehenge, Dracula's castle, the Plaza del Toros in Spain, the pharaohs, the pyramids of Egypt, and over here the sort of the El Dorado, which was mythical land of gold in South America, and some very South American looking temples, so Aztec, Inca style temples. And then there are some parts of this which are completely fictional. So, for example, the Temple of Pythons, the Harbour of the Lower Kingdom, the Stone Vampire of Africus, Carthgia, the Kingdom of Platinum. It looks a little bit like Carthage, but not really. It's not near North Africa at all. It's way down here in the southern hemisphere. The Underground Kingdom of Gold, and of course in these other places, Atlantis and Logica, they're completely fictional. All of it's fictional because they never existed. However, and way over on the side here, we've got Shangri-La and Xanadu and the Tower of Babel. So all these wonderful places and details, lots of colour, shapes, variations here on this image, and it's a real treat to do this one. I didn't find this hard. I enjoyed this thoroughly, probably because it contains a number of things which I naturally gravitate towards. Firstly, I'm a bit of a fan of the busy puzzles, the cartoon style busy puzzles. So the Heya puzzles, which I've got a couple here, for example, some others, the Jan van Hastrens, the Wacky World puzzles, and this series, this is the only one of the series that I've ever done, and I really enjoyed it. I love the detail, I love the shapes, I love the solving of the puzzle of these kinds of ones. The other thing on this that I really love are maps. I've done so many puzzles in the past which are maps of the world, maps of specific parts of the world, ancient maps, modern maps, and this, even though it's very fictionalized, it's a beautiful map, beautifully drawn, and just a joy to do. I like the quality of the pieces and the way they hold together so well, and the fact that it just seems to be a good quality puzzle as well. So I enjoyed that element of it. But this is my kind of puzzle. I would easily do any of the others in the series, particularly the King Solomon's Mines, the Noah's Ark, or the Legends of King Arthur. I would do any of those 3 puzzles in a heartbeat if I had my hands on them. Obviously, the missing pieces were a disappointment, but second-hand puzzle, you've just got to take it for what it is. So, we've talked about the quality of the puzzle, we've looked around the image, and there's a lot to see here. So how do we do a puzzle like this? Well, I would generally always start with the edge. Rarely do I not do the edge. So I went through, put all the pieces into the puzzle trays and took out all the edge pieces, did a full flip and took out all the edge pieces. And I realised that the edge pieces were all approximately the same. They were all simply papyrus. And I thought, I'm not going to start with the edge. I don't want to start with the edge. I want to do this puzzle and I want to enjoy it. So I finished, not quite finished with the edge because I still had some middle pieces to go, but I left the edge right towards the end. But I did take the edge pieces out because that reduces the number of pieces that I'm sorting through or sifting through looking for various parts of the puzzle. The first part of the puzzle that really stood out to me was this blue sky. It's really vibrant. There are other areas of blue here with some of the water elements, but this sky, the blue and gold of the clouded sky, really vibrant. So I pulled out all the blue pieces that I could find, which meant that I did have some of the water pieces as well. Then this area here, the Northlands, all these jagged pyramid-shaped mountains, which look like a cross between a pyramid and an iceberg, to be honest, quite distinctive, so I pulled those out. And then I was able the really obvious place to start with this are the words. One of the things I like about maps is that they obviously have words on them, and that makes it quite easy for matching up parts of words and also knowing which way up a piece goes, because you read it in a certain way. There is a curve to this map as it goes around the globe, so some of the words slope towards one direction or another, maybe slightly sloping this way towards the bottom, but on the whole, the words read left to right. There are different size words, so this word Atlantis, Europas, Africus, Logica, Indius, and Land of the Mayas, and Thebes are very large letters, and then they gradually get smaller. So Egypt, the Northlands, Valhalla, the Inner Sea, the Outer Sea, the Dead Sea, all start to get a little bit smaller and smaller. And then you get some sort of little sentences underneath some of them, a little explanatory note in quite small writing. So I just went through and picked out words and started making words and picking all of those out and starting to piece those together. And then, of course, I could move on to other parts of the puzzle. And to be honest, one of the easiest parts of the puzzle to do, well, I felt, was the sea. Now, the sky and the water, to me, in many puzzles, are the hardest parts to do quite often. But you'll see, if you watch the time lapse, that I did the sky first, then I pretty much did the sea, because that creates the outlines of the continents. And also, some of the colours are quite distinctive. There are shades of pink and cream colours. There are dotted lines, there are ships, there are things which connect. There's the edge of the continents, which are often sort of this cliff face represented with oranges and yellows. There is shading around some of these ones, sort of a crosshatch shading in blacks and greys. So picking out the sea wasn't terribly hard. There's a compass rose in the corner that came together very quickly at the beginning, and then just started to piece together different elements. If you look at a piece, as we get further towards the edges this way, the images on the picture slope that way, lean that direction. Same on the opposite side, they start to lean outwards that way, and they're more vertical or horizontal in the middle. So you can tell by looking at a piece approximately where it might sit on the puzzle, and then it's just simply shape matching, color matching, the usual sorts of puzzle solving techniques. The latitude and longitude lines do help. If you've got a piece that's not got much on it, but some of part of that line, you can probably figure out from the angle that it's on approximately where it might fit on the puzzle. So once I had done most of that, then there are a couple of straight lines here which help us to work outwards towards the edge. Firstly, there is the edge between the map and these tribal symbols or totems around the edge. So there's the outer edge, or sorry, the inner edge of the rectangle, and then there is the outer edge of the rectangle, and the bottom edge is very wide compared to the sides and the top, so piecing that together is actually quite straightforward. It's not so hard to do the edges either, because many of the pieces have a strip of the totem on it, a tab with papyrus on one side and a tab with the colour on the other side. So it actually starts to build the papyrus edge all together. On the sides, every single piece, not the edge, but the next column in, every single piece has a fragment of this decorative border on it. So you can get as far as the edge pieces just on the decoration alone. Top and bottom, a bit different. We have two entire rows there and there before you get to the edge of just plain papyrus pieces, which actually that took a little bit, it was a little bit trickier to put together, but because there were relatively few pieces, not as hard as I thought. And there is a fair gradation of colour across the whole thing. It's not all one single colour. Then of course the edge came last. It took a little while to piece some of that together to figure out whether I was looking at a piece that should be looked at vertically or horizontally. But yeah, got it done. There's a section down here with the copyright and the author's name and everything on it. Obviously very easy to put that together. So altogether, a really pleasurable puzzle to do. I really, really enjoyed it. I've done some other Bepuzzled puzzles on this channel. They're mystery puzzles, and this is the first one of the buried blueprints that I've ever done, and obviously the first one on the channel. And I would highly recommend them. I think they are a fun puzzle to do and not nearly as difficult as I expected it might be. There is so much going on, so many words, so much variation, so many differences in colour and textures that there's not just one massive bit which is all the one sort of thing, except when we get to this border. But apart from that, the whole main map, really quite lovely to do. Alright, so we're going to have the time lapse. If you'd like to click like and subscribe and leave some comments below. Have you done a puzzle like this? Have you done one of the ones out of this series? Be really pleased to hear what your thoughts are on these puzzles, on the buried blueprints, or on Bepuzzled puzzles altogether. But I'm really happy with this one. So on with the time lapse, and thank you for watching.